And so that's the education I'm talking about. Hemp, if you're in not in a marijuana recreational state, plus cannabimemetics, and you're back on track.
Awesome, awesome. And so, yeah, you're right. That is definitely the number one barrier is education. So being able to, and you will have to self-educate, but you can contact Dr. Olga and she will guide you, in what areas you can source, safe cannabis, and like you said, hemp. I think that because we come from the illicit world and still the conditioning of what cannabis is, and the fact that they call it hemp, when they are, the same, it's just one has, higher levels of THC in it.
Right.
We totally disregard that. And CBD specifically, not only we're hearing binds to the receptors in your endocannabinoid system, but also other receptors throughout your body. So it's doing double the work of THC.
Yep.
It's doing double the work of THC. So yeah, I think that us having access, we can change the game, health specifically. And so as far as prohibition, has it affected you specifically?
Yes. The big bugaboo of prohibition, it affects us, it affects me specifically in that I cannot access higher quantity containing cannabis products that contain higher quantities of THC in a natural form, and especially in the dried flower smokable form, because of prohibition here in Texas.
Right.
Because of the ignorance of prohibition and the maleficent intention, patients like myself do have a hard time accessing adequate natural strains. It also threatens, well, it doesn't threaten my job, but it does potentially threatens work. Feeling like you're going to be randomly drug tested is a constant concern of lots of patients and lots of people that are choosing to seek out cannabis. It's become a problem when you can get alcohol, tobacco, you can even get cocaine easier in Houston because it doesn't stay in your system as long as cannabis does. And so I do meet patients that are utilizing the recreational or legacy market, also known as the black market,
right,
to get other substances because they don't last in their system as long. And that's the result of prohibition and the after effects of prohibition, the ignorance of those would-be abusers who are still very much in power and allowed to dictate whether or not you can have access to cannabis in a natural form, in a high enough THC concentration to address your desired healing process. And I am definitely in that group. It also affects me as a practitioner. I had to hire a lawyer in order to help me structure my practice. It's a very expensive process. Just to educate patients, I had to be careful.
right.
I had to understand what I was allowed to say and say, which is crazy because we allegedly have free speech. But I discovered in that process that I'm not technically allowed to post anything where I'm teaching someone how to grow. I am not allowed to talk about creating formulas for my physician seat. I have very limited availability to create products under my physician hat. Those are all related. Those are all the direct result of the ignorance of prohibition. And finally, I'm active in the policy and regulation community, talking to politicians who are fortified with myth-based prohibition information, prohibition forwarding information, makes it extremely difficult to go advocate for a patient that has AIDS wasting syndrome, which we know very well cannabis helps to alleviate and even reverse the death process from AIDS. which we know that AIDS is not just caused by HIV.
Yes.
AIDS is caused by chemotherapy.
Mhm.
AIDS is caused by other medications. So we know that it's acquired immune deficiency syndrome.
Right.
And so HIV is just one of many things that causes that. And these patients cannot get access. Patients that have autoimmune diseases that are not just ALS, autism, and neurodegenerative.
Right.
Patients that have lupus do not have access to cannabis, which we know can help reverse or decrease kidney failure and arthritis, painful arthritis from lupus. Skin disorders, patients that suffer from eczema. We know that cannabis helps with eczema and they don't have access. And so trying to discuss this with politicians who are fortified with myth-based prohibition information is extremely difficult. It's difficult to dream as a provider, as a physician with prohibition in the way. And so, yes, it has definitely affected, but it also has affected me in a positive way. I am a rebel. I'm a revolutionist by trade. I don't care to overthrow the government. I love the United States government.
Right.
But I do ask questions. That is what I'm made of. And if I'm not allowed to ask questions, or if it's limited, then I just get creative. So it has taught me how to be very creative, which is how we were able to come to the conclusion that although marijuana may be illegal and there may be a lot of myths, it did introduce another very strategic partner, which is hemp. And we've been able to make a lot of innovative strides with that particular form. So it's affected me in both good and bad ways.
Yes, yes. I love how you, when I said specifically, sometimes somebody would say, oh, yeah, I got a family member or something like that, but just, speaking to not only your own health and wellness, but your profession, how you're able to help others, all the things that are holding us back, really, as a nation, really as a species, humans being
Yes.
held back, when it comes to having access to things that can, help us with longevity and, connection, and really not just with each other, but with our environment, you know,
Yes.
with nature, and to commune with nature on that level. But I did want to ask when you mentioned um, HIV and AIDS wasting syndrome, you know, there's some people that I know that are in recovery. They had some time in their life where they dealt with substance abuse, and they've gone through a program, and they continue to be a part of the community and are dealing with it, are dealing with this health issue, and cannabis has been proven to help them, and they are hesitant to help themselves because not I don't think not I think it's the stigma as well, and what they've taught and been taught in the programs and things like that, of course the war on drugs and all of that, but also the fear, so of course it's the fear of what others may think, hey, you're no longer in recovery, but just the fear of, will this bring me back? Is this a relapse? Because even my own family members that are dealing with multiple conditions that you listed, you know, will not hear me in a way that I need them to understand this plant can help you. So as a doctor, because that's what I get all the time. Well, if my doctor says, so as a physician, what would you say to someone who is in recovery and says, "Hey, but I'm hearing that this can help, but I'm afraid to really get involved because of my history."
Well, first, I want to address there's a bit of history that I think anyone who is listening to this, who has suffered with a visible addiction, every single one of us suffers from invisible addiction of some sort, or what I call acceptable addiction:
Yeah,
shopping, sex,
right.
food,
Mhm.
food, food.
Yeah.
So let me say this: addiction is multifactorial. There's a lot of factors that go into that. It is not about weakness. It is not about failure. It is not about fault. Addiction has to do with the same processes that are endocannabinoid system mediated, meaning regulated by the endocannabinoid system, that cause the downward slope to heart failure. The same mechanisms that cause the downward slope to stage 4 cancer, the same mechanisms that cause the downward slope to paralysis after a traumatic brain injury. It's the same discombobulation of your endocannabinoid system. It means it has not been supported, it is deficient, which has been attacked, or all three. So that's the science behind addiction. Multiple factors that go into creating any disease. It is a disease of your psyche. It is attacking your spirit and its connection to the physical body. This is where the mental body lives, the psyche lives. When the mental body is bogged down by dis-ease and it has to focus on surviving, then in the case of mental health and addiction, you go to escaping. How do I escape my psyche that is just trying to survive? My mind that has all these thoughts that are filled with pain and fear and emotional distress. How do I escape that? The escape for a person that has heart disease is to start to collect a lot of plaque inside of the blood vessels, inside of the fat, and to sequester those toxins, and they have a heart attack. For a person with mental health, addiction is escaping the disease, the dysfunction or discomfort of the psyche, and you take the drug or the substance or the activity to escape that. That is the sequestration of the toxin that is attacking your mind. The endocannabinoid system needs help. It needs help. It will not get better without it. It will not get better without it. That's why a lot of people that suffer from addiction constantly feel like they're about to fall off the train because their endocannabinoid system is being ignored. Therefore, you may need cannabis and cannabimimetics and a constant therapy in that direction to make sure that you stay on your cycle and path to purposed healing. You need your endocannabinoid system to be supported. You need it. Now, unfortunately for our patients and people that suffer with addiction, prohibition is the most toxic for you because it is rooted in this myth that cannabis is highly addictive and has no medicinal benefit.
That's right.
So now, because everyone is focusing on it being the number one drug of addiction, which is the gateway drug theory,
right,
you're not going to go to that, which is the one drug that is going to help your endocannabinoid system.
Right.
It's the one drug, and it is looked at by everyone, not just the United States, the world.
Wow.
Well, not anymore. World Health Organization kind of put an end to that. The world looks at it as a drug that everyone should stay away from. And it's the one drug that you probably need. More important, let me add some more science to that. Science has shown, research has shown that cannabidiol, which is CBD, when it is taken in conjunction with THC, is actually likely an exit drug for addiction.
Yes.
Not an entry drug, not a gateway drug. The gateway drug, which was introduced in 1968 by Nixon campaign and the Nixon White House administration, was introduced with an agenda in mind. Harry Anslinger was already on the path. He is one of the godfathers of cannabis prohibition, a very racist man.
Yes.
He teamed up with Nixon, who was a very smart racist and a very smart politician. And they came together and they finally agreed, you know what we need to do is create something called the war on drugs. But how do we get good taxpaying citizens to buy into that? Because they weren't buying just Harry Anslinger's lies that cannabis causes psychosis and Black and Mexican men to rape white women.
Right.
They weren't buying that enough. We weren't buying it enough. So in 1968, Nixon created the war on drugs and birthed the gateway drug theory, which is how they got Americans to get on board with the idea that if you take even one hit of cannabis, you will then open the gateway to using heroin, crack, and LSD and dissension.
Right.
There's no scientific backing that has ever been able to prove the gateway drug theory. And in fact, the Schaefer report commissioned by Nixon backfired on him. And I forget the other report, and it's going to come to me in a second, in 1972, came together to discredit the gateway drug theory.
Wow.
But America, being the marketing country that we are, had already attached the gateway drug theory. It was on the television. DARE, I'm sure you guys have heard of. Say No to Drugs is another campaign I'm sure you heard of. Nancy Reagan was a very popular woman. And they were able to take that train, factless, no facts at all. In fact, the Schaefer report that he commissioned was meant to further prove the gateway drug theory, and it discredited it. Those physicians said there is no correlation between addiction and the dissension into use of other illicit drugs. And in fact, cannabis has a lot of medicinal benefits. We need to abort this mission. And Nixon said, you know what, forget it. Don't even publish that Schaefer report. Don't publish the other report. We'll keep on with Say No to Drugs, DARE, and the gateway drug theory. And Reagan took it home. And so that's the history behind why you're so afraid of going to cannabis. But I want to encourage you, why don't we put cannabis aside? Let's talk about your endocannabinoid system. That exists.
Yes.
It's there to help you. It's there to heal you. I would encourage anyone who's suffering with addiction to read the literature. That means read the research papers. Look for the benefit of cannabis, including and especially CBD, for helping you to separate your fears and motives towards escapism, which is what addiction is. Separate yourself from it so that you can see it objectively. This is what cannabis does. This is what a healthy endocannabinoid system does. You have your fear and you have you. When we are in PTSD, when we are in addiction and wanting to escape, fear and us are like this. There's no difference. Mm-hmm. What a healthy endocannabinoid system does is take you and the fear and puts you up here so that you can now circulate and see all different angles of that fear. And you can say, my dad used to beat me. My dad used to beat me. My dad used to beat me. I'm reliving it. Then you can say, my dad looks like he's beating a child. Mm-hmm. Oh, that child is me. Oh, my dad was going through stuff. Oh, look, he lost his job. Mm-hmm. You're not sympathizing. You are simply analyzing. You're separating. Mm-hmm. It's called dissociation, cognitive dissonance. You're able to actually do what the rest of us can do who are not suffering in the same pattern of addiction as you, and look at our fears and look at our traumas and evaluate them separate without having to mingle in with them. An unhealthy endocannabinoid system you cannot separate. Mm-hmm. And so instead you have to take something to disconnect you. Right. Forcibly. That's a drug. You take something to disconnect you. Cannabis, instead of forcing you to disconnect, it heals the endocannabinoid system so that now you can decide when and how it goes. Right. And that is, again, a healthy endocannabinoid system for those of us that are suffering from deep addiction or deep traumas. This is the system that we are learning is the key behind why we're having such a hard time getting over, getting under, getting through that addiction process, why we are relapsing. Same thing with tobacco smokers. Right. Right. Those of us addicted to sex and shopping and working too much. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing because we are all trying to escape something psychologically. Right. Cannabis, or a healthy endocannabinoid system rather, helps to heal that so that you can now really stay on a real path to permanent healing. And that's both cannabis and cannabinoid practices. Right. And I agree. I mean, now the science is there, like you said, where they're using cannabinoids to help with, what they are considered this opioid crisis. That's another one. Right. So, it's real. And like you said, you're suffering with, you've come out of the, you're in recovery, but your endocannabinoid system is still, imbalanced, because now you're suffering with all the dis-ease. And so
it's calling for, you to pay it some attention. It's your body saying, hey, it's time to do the work. It's time to do the real work, the total work on yourself. And like she said, cannabis is not the cure all, but it is, a supplement to help you on this journey of true healing and full recovery.
Yeah.
Full recovery. So yeah, I thank you so much for sharing that, because that's such a big barrier that people create for themselves.
Mhm.
And like you said, education is the key to that. And so you spoke briefly about being a part of policy, and I know that you are the president of ACHEM. Could you briefly discuss what ACHEM is and what you guys do?
Yeah, so ACHEM or ACHEM is the Association for Cannabis Health Equity and Medicine. It is an association that I co-created with Doctors Rachel, Jessica, and Janice Knox, as well as Dr. Angela Ledbetter, and James Victor, John Alston, Rico Lamite, and James Turner. We all started this association approximately 2 years ago with the intention of servicing healthcare and healing professionals. So those are both certified by standard health school associations, as well as those that go through certification for healing. So that includes things like doulas, nutritionists, physical therapists, massage therapists, and caregivers, including parents. And so we created this association so that we could fortify the healthcare professional and healer as the cannabis industry continues to grow. Our intention is to keep the healer and the healthcare professional at the forefront and center of 4 pillars. Specifically education, so being the educational experts of cannabinology, which is the study of the plant, and endocannabinology, which is the study and practice of endocannabinoid health. We want to fortify them with education so that they are the experts,
Yes.
not just knowledgeable, the go-to people.
Yes.
We also have every intention of making those individuals competent at the highest level in how to affect regulatory design and policy. And so we have policy development. We also help the professional become involved in service pillars in their community. So how to execute service activities in order to be successful, knowing that service activities require competency in fundraising, competency in how to put together educational materials, and competency in how to contact your community service leaders and who those are, how to identify and contact them. And finally, how to participate for educate. I'm missing one. Oh my gosh, you're gonna kill me.
But it would definitely be.
But there are 4 pillars that we develop. This is a provider and healer development association. So we don't just meet, we come together, meet, and then go out. And so that's the purpose of the association. Is the child organization of the CHEM movement, which is the Cannabis Health Equity movement, which is more of a network and a co-op movement rather than an association. And so we work with other cooperative groups underneath the CHEM umbrella in order to make sure that Black, Brown, and Indigenous healers and professionals are the ones at the forefront of the development of this cannabis industry. So it is a BIPOC organization.
Yes, I love it. I got to figure out how can I become a member of this organization, because listen, I need all the things. Everything. Yes, that's me. I need that. And I started the cannabis policy research group with just a few people throughout the US. We meet, but right now we're breaking for the summer, but right, we need some guidance. So it would be great if I was, connected and had somewhere now to really gain, a real understanding of policy creation. I used to love American public policy. Like that was like my thing in school. You know, I didn't realize that that would be what I would gravitate towards, but, you know, understanding, you know, all the different organizations or levels of how this country was founded, in judicial and executive and all of that, and then how policy goes through. It was just really amazing. So, you know, I definitely am interested, you know, and so, you know, off camera, definitely, you know, share with me how to get involved. Like,
yes, I mean, if anyone is interested, first of all, your group, yes, come join us, because the larger the group rooted in commonality in policy, you know, the more effective. You don't really even need to have money if you have numbers. So come and join us. We have policy review groups once a month, but we are constantly reviewing policies. We just gave our feedback for the CAOA to Senator Booker. Yeah, and some of our recommendations were taken. So we are very, very involved. We're work with other organizations like M4MM, which is the Minorities for Medical Marijuana organization. We also work with MCBA, which is the Minorities for Cannabis Business Association. We work with a lot of organizations, Society of Cannabis Clinicians, in the policy, in the world of policy, so that we can fortify those numbers. Numbers more powerful than money. With numbers comes money, by the way.
Right.
And I just remembered, speaking of money, the last pillar is promote. Our goal is to make sure that healers are paid as healers, as speakers, as whatever your industry is. If you're in packaging, if you're in tech, we focus on learning how best to promote individuals. So we do learn a lot from people that come to talk to us about marketing, about design, about how to present yourself, about what you should look like, about, you know, what your audience is, and those kind of things that we don't really pay attention to as healthcare professionals and healers. And so we have those kinds of webinars and symposiums. So we teach people how to promote yourself, and then we promote you. And so we promote you on our social media, we promote you on commercials, we promote in our conferences. Our members get promoted as part of their membership. And so we're growing. I think we're over 300 members strong and keep growing. Yeah, so we're getting there, we're getting there. So the point is to, like, everyone we want people to have their separate networks. That is important. But then we want to come together as a network, to breathe as an organism. And so the organisms that would have oppressed us understand the skin, the largest organ on the body.
That's right.
Okay, so we're the skin, we're the color, aren't we? So if you don't have us, you ain't got nothing. You're walking around just bare muscle and bone. It's not gonna work.
True, right? Because we your skin is, you know, your protector.
Yes, that's what we're striving to be.
As well. This is awesome. So I will definitely put all the websites in the description, you know, so anyone who wants to get involved or wants to learn more, you'll be sure to, you know, click the site and, you know, get involved. That's the whole point, especially calling all healers, you know, and people in the medical profession, BIPOC, obviously. And so before I, you know, release you, because I know you have things to do, I have a couple more. And just, what challenges have you experienced moving into the cannabis space, you know, as a medical professional? I know you said that there's some barriers or some things that you can't talk about, but even I found as an herbalist, you know, there's some words that we shouldn't use when we're speaking to, you know, clients, or, you know, making claims of certain things about herbs or what have you. But specifically as a Black woman, have you experienced any challenges coming into the cannabis industry, and also being a medical professional coming in?
As a Black woman, my biggest challenge is the cannabis industry is brand new. It's like budding, right? So it's kind of like, think of it as like what alcohol was going through, you know, in the 1920s, when it was like becoming like an industry, and Anheuser-Busch and all those were becoming, they were brand new. Cannabis is just like that. And so Black women, you know what we know how to do? Get it done. That's like, should be our t-shirt. That should be our hashtag. That's what we do.
Right.
You give if a Black woman wants to do something, she's going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you task a Black woman to do it, she's going to do it above and beyond. And she's not even going to realize that she's going above and beyond, because we are the get it done. We are my sister calls us the aunties. We are the aunties, the ones that, that one auntie that has it all. She never has time. She always working, but she always comes in with her pencil skirt and her, her whatever. She's always together. But that's because she does not care for herself.
Yeah.
She looks like she does.
Yeah.
And so that is the challenge. That's been the challenge for me, is this is a go industry. It's brand new. There's so many places to innovate. There's so many places to get involved. There's so many places that need people involved. And when a Black woman is tasked to do something, she's going to see, just like water seeks out everything, every hole, every crevice, she's seeking that out naturally. Burnout, biggest challenge, biggest challenge. Because there's so much to do, and I'm still learning how to be an infinite being with infinite energy. Haven't figured it out yet. So if anybody knows how, please hit me up. So I would say that's the biggest challenge. And inevitably seeing myself as not doing enough still. So there's this like inferiority complex that was birthed in us as a result of our country's history, as a result of our mothers wanting to protect us, and us kind of inheriting that feeling of, like you were saying, constantly having to look over your shoulder. That comes with it an inferiority complex that drives you, but also depletes you. Mm-hmm. And I am not, I haven't separated myself from that pathology yet. But like a phoenix, I will rise. I just haven't figured it out yet. Still working on it. Right. As far as a professional, I think there's more challenges there than as a Black woman. As a Black woman, I have accepted that I'm the SHIT, and I write that on my Post-its everywhere to convince me. We know what we're doing. Black women, we do. I thank the gods that we do. We know what we're doing. And, I'm also not an exception to that. So I've accepted that doesn't matter who it is. And in fact, we're ready for that opposition. Right. So it doesn't matter who it is. You can't tell me I can't do it as long as I'm doing it legally. Right. As a professional though, I'm learning how to be I didn't go to business school, and being in this industry, even though I'm a healer and I'm more of a creative, you have to know how to run your business. And that's hard, knowing where to get money from, knowing how much money I need, how to structure a business plan without messing that up, and, how to scale, running a business and starting up a business, which inevitably, when I hope every woman that's watching this decides to get up and get in the cannabis industry because it belongs to us, especially Black women. Black and Latin women, it belongs to us. It does. Indigenous women, you know what I'm talking about. They took it from us and our community. They weaponized the female image in order to destroy our men. And so we should be getting into it. But when you get into it, you'll learn, just like I'm saying, that being an entrepreneur is very challenging, especially for a physician. They specifically did not want us to learn how to run a business. Yeah. And that, they fortified us with a lot of intellect and educational background, therefore declaring us a danger if we knew how to run a business. Yeah. And so they kept us from understanding that, because if we owned hospitals, if we were teaching nurses and nurses were teaching us, if we were in cahoots with parents and caregivers, if we were getting involved with farms and how food was being made, if we were getting involved with how we were teaching children in school, which inevitably a physician would do, because we're tasked with healing. Yeah. And we would quickly learn that healing involves all these factors, and we would have gotten involved in all of them. Right. So learning how to run a business and start a business is the biggest challenge as a professional. It's just the biggest challenge. And it's a necessity, because in order for me to own my style of practice, I have to own my business. Yes, yes, yes. And that just went right into what, I was going to ask what you would
say to a Black woman wanting to come in the industry? And yes, all of the things that you spoke of are the challenges, with any industry, but specifically with cannabis, you have to combine it with education and you have
Yep.
to combine it with advocacy because
Yep.
it's still a long way to go. And at the same time, you have to deal with, not only maybe your own, feelings of inferiority, but how others perceive you when you come with
Right.
this, with this brilliance that they don't think that you should have. So, so yes, you summed it up, and I truly, truly appreciate your presence, for giving me some of your time. Very busy doing a lot of things. Like you said, we do the most. We do the most and still feel like it's not enough. I'm not doing enough. Yeah. It's real, so this is why we definitely need access to cannabinoids so it can bring us back to the present moment and say, hey, you are doing just fine. Just being,
Yes.
just being. So,
Yes.
but
Okay.
before I go, how can everyone reach you? And then I'll close out.
Okay, well, my telehealth company is called Maha, Maha Health. Maha means big in Sanskrit. So you can find me at www.mahahealth.org. You can email me at heal, HEAL, at mahahealth.org as well. I'm also found at the Association for Cannabis Health Equity in Medicine. And you can find us at ACHEMED.org. Please feel free to join us by going to the Join tab. And finally, if you're in Houston, Texas, myself or my business partner, Angela Aguirre, we are the co-owners of an apothecary, cannabis apothecary, soon to be an herbal apothecary in Houston, Texas, located at 3401 Harrisburg Boulevard. It's called the Hemp Works. And we are there Tuesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if you're looking for that, just please reach out to us on Instagram at The Hemp Works, spelled normally, THEHEMPWORKS, on Instagram.
Thank you. I will definitely put all her contacts in the description so you can reach out. I would love to pop in on the apothecary. Like, I can only imagine. But if you are a Black woman and you are dealing with a health condition and you use cannabis to help bring your body back into balance and you want to share that story, please reach out to me so you can be featured. Or if you are employed in the industry and you want to share how you went about that journey or started your own business and want to, give us some enlightenment about that process, please contact me so you can be featured on this platform. We are here to provide visibility of Black women in the cannabis space for health and wellness and some fun, all the fun things too. And if you are dealing with any body breakdown and you want guidance in your cannabis consumption to intentionally use it for balancing your ECS system or endocannabinoid, then you can reach out to Dr. Olga, of course, and me at afrocannaholistic.com. And until next time, this was a great one. Thank you so much. Truly, truly, I truly appreciate it. And until next time, everyone, peace.